So on last week's show, I gave you details about the GOP's tax reform plan and how it basically robs the poor in order to pay for tax cuts for the rich. So while our taxes are going up, taxes for the richest Americans in the country are going down. And there are tax breaks in every which way you can imagine for rich people, including a tax cut for private jet owners. So the bill itself is unethical. It's downright egregious, but we learned a new detail about their tax reform bill that might be more problematic than any other components. So John Sarlin of CNN reports, for the first time in American politics, anonymous dark money political donations could become tax deductible. That's if a provision currently being debated between House and Senate negotiators makes it into the final bill. The issue at hand started with the Johnson Amendment, named after then-Senator Lyndon Johnson's 1954 measure that prohibits nonprofit groups who maintain tax-exempt status, including churches and charities, from directly participating in politics. But efforts to repeal the Johnson Amendment have resulted in language that would ease political speech rules for all nonprofits. The results, critics say, could effectively let people deduct de facto political donations and further hide those donations and spending from the public. This is taxpayer-subsidized Citizens United, said Ian Van Walker of the Brennan Center for Justice, referring to the 2010 landmark Supreme Court case that loosened campaign finance rules. The House tax bill passed in November included a repeal of the Johnson Amendment, while the Senate did not. Currently, lawmakers are at work reconciling the two bills. So if this is passed, this would encourage rich people to buy politicians because those contributions would be tax deductible. They are not just allowing legalized bribery, they're encouraging it now. Now, why would they want to do this? Well, if you repeal the Johnson Amendment and you allow churches to have a say in politics, who do you think they're going to donate to and lobby for? The Republican Party. So this personally benefits them. That's why they want to do this. Now, let me remind you that in the text of this bill that they're trying to push through Congress, this strips away tax deductions for normal citizens. So if you donate $50 or $100, well, sometimes you would get that back in the form of a tax break at the end of the year when you file for taxes. So they're trying to discourage us from donating to candidates. They don't want grassroots fundraising, and they're trying to encourage more dark money, giving rich people tax breaks for donating and buying off politicians. If you already thought the Republican Party was a shell of a party that is, but they're also shills. If you already thought that they were a shell of a party just there to do the bidding of rich people, and you had a bad view of the Republican Party, this should downgrade their status even further. I didn't think they could lower the bar, but they lowered the bar. This party is just unbelievably corrupt. They are shameless. They don't even care. They want to make sure that they look out for their donors so much that their donors get the money back in the form of tax cuts when they donate to them. Now understand that when Republicans receive these donations, and Democrats, when any politician receives campaign contributions from multinational corporations or millionaires and billionaires, they usually are donating because they are expecting a return on that investment. And we're seeing that right now. So when the Koch brothers, for example, or Nike donates to politicians and they pass tax cuts that specifically benefit those groups of people and elites, well, they get that money that they donated back. I mean, it makes the donation that they sent really meaningless. I mean, spending a couple of $1 million to buy off a politician or a couple of politicians is chump change when you compare that to the money they're going to make back when it comes to tax cuts and whatnot. So they're already getting a return on that investment, but now they're going to get tax cuts for buying off politicians. The Republican Party is an absolute fucking disgrace. For anyone to still vote for this joke of a party, you should be ashamed of yourself because you are being duped. You are willfully allowing this party to rob you, take money out of your hands to give to their rich donors. So I don't even know how to respond to this. This is disgusting. We already live in a corrupt country where campaign finance laws basically allow for legalized corruption and bribery out in the open, and they're trying to make it worse in a bill that they're trying to pass off as tax legislation. It's just nauseating. They are disgusting.
Support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Report.